Today we are playing a game of Leaving Earth, and we're playing it with the Outer Planets and the Stations expansion. I know I've done one of these on the channel before, but I know I haven't gotten the video or audio perfect by any means, but I think I can try to do it a little bit better than I had done last time. There was a lot of extra noise happening, and the camera had some weird things going on with it, with kind of rotating by itself and whatnot. So I thought I'd give this another go. So hopefully the video is a little bit better. It's kind of hard to get the whole board in one scene, and the way I've got the table set up down here, there's actually quite a bit of glare based on where the camera's at. So without boring you with any more of the details here, I've tried to do what I can to get the camera angle at a good spot. I apologize, I might sometimes be leaning over, so that's the back of my head there, you can see. So I'll be working at it from this way. I'll try not to block anything. But again, I'm trying a very hard run through here. So I've gone ahead and laid out the board. I've put down all of the locations as unexplored. I have not looked at them. I don't know what's under them. I am going to go ahead, and I haven't done it yet, I'm going to go ahead and go through and pick the missions right now for a very hard game. So looking at the back of the rule book for stations, the first thing we do is we do the life survey. So I'll just kind of set these out here. I'll fix them up after we pick them. But the first mission we have is extraterrestrial life survey, and then if this one gets pulled, extraterrestrial life sample becomes a mission that's available. We also have an occupation mission to pick from here, and so pick this one, which is orbital occupation. That's just having man in Earth orbit at the start of each year. Next up is an easy mission. So just one of these. And let's see. All right, man to space and back. That's pretty easy to do, but they're going to start getting a little harder here now. So next up are medium missions, and we're going to pick 6 of these. And I know that I'm not shuffling these probably the most correct way, but I'm always afraid I'm going to bend them if I shuffle them any other way. So there's that. We've got, I'll just put them here for now. We've got manned Mars flyby. We've got man on the moon. We've got lunar lander, Ceres lander, space station, and Mars lander. I don't think there's any repeats here, so those will be the 6 medium missions. All right, and then we need 6 hard missions. I'll give these something of a shuffle here. All right. So we've got man on Mars, got Mars experiment, man on Venus, Mars station, got Mars orbit habitat, and lunar station. So a lot of different Mars missions there, but with the Venus and a lunar one thrown in as well. And then lastly, because we're playing outer planets, we need 6 of the non-explorable outer planets missions. So let me go ahead and sort of shuffle these up here as best as I can. So we need 6 of them. We got Europa survey, got Io survey, Ganymede survey, Jupiter system survey, Saturn survey, and Uranus survey. So that's not too bad. There's a lot in the Jupiter system, but we don't have to explore, what was it, Callisto, I think? And we actually don't have to do Titan or Enceladus. So the way that I'm playing in terms of points here, to win a solo game, you need to have more points completed than there are left on the board. And then whenever you flip over a location in the outer planet, so those are the missions that I just pulled, or the locations for the missions I just pulled. So anything basically at Jupiter, Saturn, it's really just those 2, Jupiter or Saturn, you'll get a new mission whenever you flip them over. And the only one I have to flip over outside of the Jupiter system that has more missions is Saturn itself. So I probably won't focus on Titan or Enceladus this game, which will be nice because if you watched the previous video, that was pretty heavily focused on Titan. So maybe we'll do something a little different this time. I'm not limiting myself to no ion engines like I did in the original game, but I am kind of making it a personal goal for myself. I'm going to try to finish every mission. I'm going to try to leave nothing. I'm going to try to make sure that every mission out there is completed. So that is the goal. I'm going to go ahead and get these missions organized probably by location, and I'll put them, looking at the screen here, I'll probably put them up in the top left area. I'll organize them that way, and I will be back momentarily. Alright, so I've laid out the missions to the top left there. Didn't pull any for Mercury, so I did end up moving Mercury off the off camera there. I can bring it back if we need to fly there, but I've just moved that away. But yeah, just taking a look at the missions right now, there are a lot out at Mars, so I fully expect we'll head out there. Quite a few at the moon, so we'll definitely be spending some time there as well. And then one or two here or there at Ceres and Venus, but then we'll have a lot out at the Jupiter system as well. So I think the early goals here will be to get probes out to Jupiter and to explore to see what they have there. And on the way to Jupiter, we'll explore Venus and solar radiation to see what we're working with both of those locations, and Ceres as well. And I think, yeah, I'm not sure there's much else to say about it. I think we're going to see a large focus on Mars, which, again, it's been quite some time since I made that last video, but I don't even think I went to Mars. I could be wrong on that, but I don't recall doing much at Mars last time. So this will be good. This will be a different playthrough, and I'm looking forward to it. All right, so with no further ado, I think we'll go ahead and get started here. To do these outer planet missions, I usually like to play pretty risky early on. I like to get probes out there as quickly as possible to see what we're working with. So I think for the first year here, we're 1956. I'm going to buy ion thruster technology, and I'm looking for it here in the stack, but Saturn rocket technology, and I need to make sure I get these on camera here. So I've got those two. I'll put some outcomes on them. I've just got a pile of outcomes here. I have pre-shuffled this, but I'll just mash them together here a little bit more. I'm just trying to get them all in order. Just get the top three on Ion, top three on Saturn. That's $20, $10 for each advancement. And then I'm also going to buy one ion engine with the remainder of my $30. You get $30 a year in the station's expansion. So I'll just flip it over. I've just sort of got it here. But yeah, ion thruster technology, Saturn rocket technology, and an ion thruster. And that's it for 1956. 1957, you get your money back. And I'm going to buy a Saturn rocket. That's going to be $15. And then I'm going to buy, let's see, 4 probes. Let's go ahead and buy those. That's going to be another 8. So those are the probes, and we'll flip over $8 here. I have $7 remaining for this year. I'm going to go ahead and launch the 4 probes and the ion thruster. I'm going to put them on a token here. And I'm also going to use the Saturn rocket. I know Earth is a little bit off camera, but I think that's okay. All the action should be happening up here above Earth. But the key here on Earth, we're going to go from Earth to Earth orbit, and that's listed as a difficulty of 8 here at the very bottom. And so looking at the table here, a Saturn rocket with a difficulty of 8 can move a payload of 5. That's exactly what I've got. I've got 4 probes and an ion engine. So I'm going to attempt to go directly into Earth orbit. So to do that, I need to draw a Saturn rocket advancement, and that is a success. I do not have money to pay to remove that success at the moment, so I just have to shuffle it back in as best as I can here. And we will see how that goes in the future, but we're here in Earth orbit. I use the Saturn rocket, and then from here we are moving off to interplanet transfer. That's a difficulty of 3 maneuver. So right now, the total weight, the total mass, I should say, of my ship is 5. We got 4 probes, each at 1 apiece, as well as the ion thruster. That's a mass of 5. 5 times the 3 is 15. I need 15 thrust. An ion engine only provides 5, but it provides 5 a year. So, assuming that it is a success, I will take 3 years to move from Earth orbit out to interplanet transfer with the 1 ion engine there. So we'll go ahead and draw the ion engine. That is a major failure. A major failure with an ion thruster damages the ion thruster itself. So I'll flip that over, and provides no thrust. So we are just sitting right there in Earth orbit. I do have $5, I have 7. So I'm going to pay 5 to remove that major failure. And then, so I've got $2 left. I think what I have to do is just bring that back down. So I've got 4 probes. I've got an ion thruster. The ion thruster is damaged. It's in Earth orbit. I'm going to bring it back down to Earth. To move back to Earth, it's difficulty of 0 maneuver, so I don't need any thrust to do it. There's a re-entry symbol, but there's no component I have here that requires a re-entry check. And landing is optional, so I don't have to land it. So they're just going to come back on down automatically. These are now back on Earth, and that ion thruster will be repaired next year. So I'm going to have to take a look at my schedule here to make sure I can still make it out to the outer planets in time. But I do have $2 left right now, and I think the only thing I can really buy for $2, I haven't bought Juno Tech, as I'll just buy 1 more probe, and that will be the end of my money for the turn, and that's the end of 1957. So we'll move the time forward to 1958. Money comes back. The ion thruster on the ground does get repaired for free, so we've got that back. I think for 15, I'm going to buy another Saturn rocket, so we'll flip that money over. Let's see, buying a Saturn. And this time, I'm going to take 2 probes, an ion thruster, and a Saturn, and try the same thing. So, again, the payload that we can carry to Earth, orbit directly from Earth, is 5, but we've only got 3 this time. So we'll fire up another Saturn rocket. It is a success. And so I will shuffle these back in. I do have $15, but I think if I'm going to go through and actually complete my mission of trying to finish every mission, I'm going to have to play a little riskier. So I think I'm going to leave it in for now. That does make it up to Earth orbit. That does burn the Saturn rocket. Now we're going to try again, going out to interplanet transfer with the ion engine, but this time our total mass is 3, so 3 times 3 is 9. It's only going to take 2 years. Assuming that the ion thruster works, which this time it does. I think I'm going to leave that in as well. I've got $15, and I would really like to buy some technology this year, or maybe another Saturn rocket. So I think I'm going to leave that in again. And it's real tough to shuffle 2 cards here. I'm doing the best I can. But we'll put those there. So that will move to interplanet transfer, and that's going to take 2 years to do that. Let's see. Oh, I do remember the other thing I was going to do. I was going to buy Survey Tech and then survey solar radiation, but I did not do that. I think with the remainder of my $15, I have to buy another Saturn rocket. So, side note, Saturn rockets I feel like got much better in these stations, and I guess Outer Planets expansion. Because you get $30 a year instead of 25. So you can buy 2 Saturn rockets a turn instead of just 1, which is really, really a pretty big deal. So because I have $15 left, 15 even, I think I have to spend the 15 to get the Saturn rocket. If I were to buy a technology for 10, that would leave me with 5 and not a whole lot to do with that 5. So I don't really need the Saturn at the moment. I really need like Survey Tech and I think Rendezvous, but I think I'll have to wait till next turn to get that, just because spending an even chunk of $15 is important. So I'll just buy an extra Saturn rocket. I will definitely use it. So with that, that's the end of the year. Moving on to 1959. A time token comes off of the ship on the way out to the interplanet transfer, and we get all $30 back. Let me take a moment to figure out what it is I am doing. All right, I'm going to buy survey technology. That's going to be $10. I'm going to find it here. So survey, and that is going to get one outcome card. That's $10 to buy that. I'm also going to buy an ion engine. I'm going to need several of those in this game, so that's another $10. I've got $10 left. I'm going to go ahead and put together the ion engine and the 3 probes I currently have on the ground, and I'm going to launch them up into space on a Saturn rocket. I've got $10 remaining, so here we go with the Saturn rocket going up again directly from Earth to Earth orbit, and we draw a success, so I'm gonna leave that in there. I've drawn 3 of them so far. That doesn't mean all 3 of these are successes. It could just mean one of them, might be 2 of them, might be all 3. It is hard to know, but it is now up in Earth orbit, and we've used that Saturn rocket. Now we've got an ion and 3 probes up there. I'm going to use one of the probes to survey. I can do that now. I'm going to survey solar radiation. That's a thing I can survey from here because it's one of the hazards that I can see from here. So let's go ahead and see what the survey tech is. It is a minor failure. So I'm going to pay the $5 to remove that. Got $5 left. That failure is gone. So now surveying is perfect. It can't fail again. It doesn't damage anything, and I do have 3 probes up there. So I also realized I just made a mistake. So I'll back up and explain that in just a second, but we'll just move forward with this anyway. So solar radiation to flip over, and no significant radiation has been found. So that's good. That'll be nice for the manned missions that we have. The mistake I made, nope, I take that back again. I did not make a mistake. So when you make a maneuver that has a hazard symbol on it, you have to experience that hazard even if you don't have surveying. I was thinking interplanet transfer, the move from Earth orbit to interplanet transfer had the radiation symbol on it, but it does not. Had it had the symbol, then the ship would have automatically explored solar radiation at that point. But it did not, so despite the confusion here, I have not made any mistakes yet at this point, I don't think. At least not regarding this particular issue. So with that, surveying tech is good to go. I've got $5 left, and right now I've got an ion engine and 3 probes sitting up in Earth orbit. Alright, so I've got the $5 left. I'm going to do something pretty risky here. I think that's going to be the name of the game. I'm going to move from Earth orbit out to lunar flyby with this ship. It's got an ion engine and 3 probes. It's got a time token in parentheses, which means you can take more than 0 years to do the maneuver. I've got a total mass of 4. 4 across a difficulty of 1 is 4, so it'll take that ion thruster only 1 year to get it there. I'm actually hoping it's a failure that I pull, because I would like to pay $5 to remove the failure, because I know there's at least 1 success in the ion thruster pile here. But we will see. So I'm going to fire the ion thruster. It is a success, so it's going to move here, which is fine. I'm going to survey the moon once I get there next year, but now I've pulled, there's 2 cards here, and I've pulled a success twice out of these 2 cards. So I don't know if I've just pulled the same card twice, or if there's a failure, or if both of them are successes. But that's kind of the beauty of the game. I'm not complaining about that. I don't know what's in there. It's kind of scary to know, to think that this ship here might end up failing, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I still have $5 left, and I'm not quite sure what to spend it on. Give me a second, and I'll take a look. Actually, no, I know exactly what I need to buy. I need to start getting astronauts, because I'm going to need at least one to complete the, I'm going to need at least 1 scientist to complete the mission on Mars, to do the experiment. So for $5, I'll go ahead and hire Sally Ride here, a scientist, and that'll be the rest of the money for the turn. With that, we're going to move on to 1960, get all of our money back. The time tokens come off here, and let's figure out what to do. So before I make any decisions on moving things or buying things, we do have 3 probes in lunar flyby, which is overkill, but that's fine. And we've got 2 here in interplanet transfer. So the first thing I'm going to do is survey what we can survey. So from lunar flyby, we can survey the moon, because we have the moon symbol here. Surveying tech will not fail, so we'll just go ahead and flip it over. And then the moon allows 1 feature to be present. So not terribly exciting, but that is what we have out there. And then the one here, we've got two of them here, they're going to explore series. They can do that. And so we're going to flip series over, and same thing. We can explore until we have one feature present. So both of these ships that we currently have, the one at Interplanet Transfer, the one at Lunar Flyby, are both in a fairly precarious spot because they both have an ion engine, and if that ion engine were to fail, it will be lost at the end of the turn. I would rather not lose any of these, so hopefully we pull successes. But again, going kind of the high risk, high reward method, I'm only going to discard the card if I see a failure, I think, for the ion engine, at least until later in the game when maybe I have a little bit more flexibility. But I'm going to start with the Lunar Flyby one. I think it's the least important of the two right now, even though it's technically worth more money since it's got 3 probes. But I'm going to go ahead and use the ion engine, and it's going to move back to Earth orbit, and same difficulty there, so it's just going to take 1 year, assuming that I pull a success. But I do not. So that's good and bad. I'm definitely going to pay $5 to remove that failure. That's step number 1. That's gone. I know the other card here is a success, and I'll pull it when I move the other one, but I know it's a success because I've seen the success. So the ion thruster tech is good to go. It's fine. However, that does mean that at the end of the turn, and I'll just go ahead and do it now, this ship is lost with its ion engine and its 3 probes. So that's not ideal, but it is what it is. So we will have to... This has not been the most fortunate beginning to a game, but we're going to try our best to at least win the game in terms of getting half the points. But I'm still going to try to get as many points as I can and hopefully finish every mission. So with that having been said, I know ion thruster tech is good, so we're going to move this ship that's currently at Interplanet Transfer. It's going to move over to Venus Flyby, difficulty of 2, got a total mass of 3, so 3 times 2 is 6. It's going to take 2 years to move to Venus Flyby, and we'll just go ahead and pull the ion thruster card. We know that's a success. Because it's a solo game, it doesn't really matter if I leave this here or not. It does matter in a multiplayer game because if you don't remove it, then... actually, the last one's free anyway, so I don't know what I'm talking about regarding this, apparently. That is gone. I don't have to pay to remove it. Moral of the story here is that ion thruster technology is good to go, and I don't have to worry in the future about pulling any cards for that. But that is a 2-year maneuver out to Venus Flyby, and when we get there, we'll survey Venus and make our way out to Jupiter. Got $25 left, and not a whole lot of components. So let me take a look here and see what we want to do. Yeah, okay, so with the remainder of the money, buying a Saturn rocket for 15, and I'm going to buy Rendezvous Tech, find it here, for the remaining 10. So that's all of the money for the year. And again, I need to pull some outcome cards to put on Rendezvous. And then I think next year we're going to focus on beginning the testing of that. So with that, we'll move on to 1961. Time token comes off every ship that we have with time tokens, and our money is returned. All right, this is, I don't know. So, I don't know if I need as many probes, but I'm buying 5 of them. That's going to be $10. So we'll go ahead and flip over 10 that we've got here. And I'm also going to buy, oh, I already bought Rendezvous. That was last time, so I don't need to buy that. So we're going to launch the 5 probes I just bought for $10 on the Saturn rocket we bought last time. And we're going to send that up again from Earth into Earth orbit. So here we go with the Saturn rocket. That is another success. So just going to keep on rolling the dice with that one for the time being, because I definitely don't have the cash to do much about that at the moment. So get rid of that Saturn rocket. We are up in Earth orbit. We've got 5 probes up here, and it seems a little excessive. I thought about buying Juno Tech and sending Junos up instead, but I don't think I'm going to get Juno Tech this game. I don't think I need it. I think I'll need Atlases, but that's a little expensive to test for Rendezvous, which is what I'm doing now. So the way I'm doing the Rendezvous testing, I forget where I see it. I think it's official, but I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments below. I know it's all over the forums and on Board Game Geek. But I'm going to basically test Rendezvous fully right now with those 5 probes. So if I see a success, I'm going to put it to the side and not pay for it. If I see a failure, I'll damage a component and pay $5 to get rid of it. But that is what I'm doing. So we've got a success. Minor failure, so that is going to be $5 to get rid of that, and I've damaged a probe. And then the remaining one is a success. So I've damaged one probe, I paid $5, but now Rendezvous is good to go, and that's just not something that we'll have to worry about working in the future. So I'm going to break off the one damaged probe, send that back down to Earth. Since Rendezvous is fine, I do have 4 probes now sitting in Earth orbit. I have $15 left, so you guessed it, with the rest of that, I'm buying a Saturn rocket for the rest of the money this turn. And we're moving on to 1962. Time tokens come off, we repair anything on Earth that's damaged, and we are now at Venus flyby with our 2 probes and, nope, sorry, wrong one. With the ion thruster and the 2 probes. So, we'll go ahead and survey Venus. Let's survey Venus. Venus, spacecraft destroyed by extreme heat and pressure. You have no idea how happy I am to see that, because Man on Venus is one of the missions I was most concerned about. So I'll go flip that over. That's not going to be a mission we can complete at all, and so that will not be one that counts against our final point total. All right, we are here in Venus flyby. It's 1962, and you can see on the calendar that we do have a transfer window out to Jupiter. That's a difficulty of 1 maneuver. We're a mass of 3, and so 3 times 1 is 3. That's more than enough for the ion thruster to push us out to Jupiter flyby. And so I will do that. Something to keep in mind with the transfer window maneuvers here is that you have to go exactly as long as they say. So I could not take more time to do it. It must be done in the 1 year that's mentioned here on the card. So we'll move out to Jupiter flyby. That's going to take a year. And when we get there, we've got 2 probes, so we'll probably end up surveying the 2 that are most likely to provide us with missions, which I think are Europa and either Io or Ganymede, I'm not sure. They'll all provide missions. I have to survey them all. I think I might have misspoken early on. The one mission we have over there is Jupiter System Survey, so everything there has to be surveyed. But the ones that will probably take the longest to go about completing are Europa and Io. So I'm going to go ahead and survey those when we get there. But getting a little ahead of myself with that. So, taking a look around here, we have the probes in Earth orbit. We're on our way to Jupiter. I've got no cash left. I do have a Saturn rocket. And I think that is all we can do right now. So we're moving on to 1963. Our money comes back. We lose the time token. And we're going to survey. What are we going to survey? We are going to survey Europa with one of the probes out here at, I keep pointing to that one, out here at Jupiter. So we'll go ahead and survey Europa. And that is going to be, that is Strange Readings, Spacecraft Destroyed by Unknown Force. And so that's if you land on it. That's, I think that's the quite interesting Europa mission there. So what we need to do at this point is find, we flipped over Europa, so I'm looking for the Europa missions we've got, and I'm looking for one that has a gamma on the back of it. There's only one, that's this one here, so we now have this mission, which is Advanced Europa Survey. So we'll want to go out there with the Galileo probe, an upgraded probe basically, and survey Europa. And we did complete the Europa survey. I'll get up and get that in a moment, but that is a mission we have completed. With the other probe on board, we will survey Io. And so Io has volcanic activity, and that's going to want an alpha mission, and there are 3 of them. So I'm going to roll a dice, just randomly pick which one. On a 1 or 2, it'll be the first one, 3 or 4 the second, 5 or 6 the third. If it's 7 or 8, I will re-roll it. Got a 6, so that is the 3rd mission. And so that is Advanced Io Survey. That is incredibly convenient because I know that there are Io sample return missions, I'm pretty sure. So these are going to be not bad at all. That is good news. That's good. So we've surveyed Io, we surveyed Europa. Again, I'll go get those 2 mission cards and complete them. We've added these now, so we'll have to head out there with the Galileo. And then with the ship, before it heads off to Saturn flyby, I am breaking apart the ion thruster that's currently on it. I'm going to put it in its own token because we have Rendezvous now. Rendezvous has been perfected, and it's going to head out to Outer Planet Transfer. It's a difficulty of 4 maneuver. It's a mass of 1, so it would only take 1 year, but it says it takes 2 on the sheet. So it'll take 2 to get out to Outer Planet Transfer, and then from there we'll head back to Earth orbit. So we'll get that ion thruster back. We'll be able to use it. And the reason we can do that is because the Saturn flyby difficulty is 0. I don't need any more thrust to move on to Saturn. We are in 1963. That does allow for a Saturn transfer. So we'll go ahead and do that. We're going to move out to Saturn flyby for free. That is 2 years, but before I get too far ahead of myself, as part of that particular transfer, we do have to experience the Jupiter hazard. So we'll flip over Jupiter automatically to see what the hazard is, and this is a difficult one. So for astronauts, a roll of 1 to 6, they're incapacitated, and on a roll of 1 to 4, probes and capsules are damaged. So I do have 2 probes there. I'll need a roll for each one. So here's the first one. There's a 7. It's okay. That's good. And then an 8. So they are both okay, but that's going to be difficult moving forward to get anything out there. So Jupiter is that mission that they want is Alpha. There's only 1 of them, and the Jupiter orbiter is what they are looking for. So that's interesting. So we have a lot of missions out there that are going to require basically a Galileo probe. Galileo probe does negate 1 of that radiation, but only 1. So that's going to be difficult. We might have to send out a ship to Jupiter orbit, to Jupiter flyby with a bunch of Galileo probes on it, and get into Jupiter orbit with that. So that'll be something to think about. Again, I'm playing this game from 2 perspectives. A, we've got the typical objective of getting more than half the points from the board. So I want to have completed more than half of more than the points that are left on the board uncompleted. The missions I pulled here are very low point value relatively, so from that perspective, that's really great. But I'm also trying to make it a challenge to myself to get every mission completed, and those are going to be a little more difficult now with the radiation at Jupiter. So let me clean up the missions that we've completed and just pulled, and I will be right back. All right, so I'm going to start putting missions I've completed right here. I might still put out the mission, like a new mission here, and then move it over there. But so these are the ones we've done. So far, we've completed 8 points, and then I've added the ones that we pulled for Jupiter way over there into the pile for Jupiter. All right, and as for purchasing things this time around, I think we're just going to start buying advancements that I know we're going to need. So we got life support. I know we're going to need that. I know we're going to need synthesis, and we're going to need re-entry. So let me get, that's $30. Let me get outcomes for all of these. Synthesis requires 5. Life support requires 3. And re-entry requires 3. I'll tidy those up here in a moment. So that's all of the money. And I think that's going to be everything for the year. So we'll move on to 1964. Time tokens come off, and money comes back. The other one I'm going to need, the other advancement I'm going to need is aero braking. That requires re-entry, which we did get last time. And same with synthesis, that requires life support, and I did pick that up as well. So I think the only other one we're going to need for sure are Atlas rockets at some point. I feel like I might have gotten 4. Nope, just 3. 3 outcomes on aero braking. I'm taking a look through the rest of the advancements right now. And landing. So I'm going to need landing and Atlas rockets. Those should be the only other 2 that we need at this point. So that costs $10 to buy aero braking this turn. I do have a Saturn rocket. I'm going to spend $10 buying an ion thruster. So I've got that here. Let me think about that. That might not be what I want to do. Okay, yeah, backing up a bit. I'm not buying the ion for 10. I am instead buying a space habitat for 20. That's the remainder of the money. I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing with it yet, but I know that I'm going to need one for sure to do the Mars missions. And I have $20, so that seems like a good time to get that done as well. So we'll move to 1965. More time tokens come off. We've arrived at Saturn and the outer planet transfer. Our money comes back. So we'll go ahead and take care of, so outer planet transfer, that's going to come back to Earth. That is a difficulty of 6. It's going to take 2 years. I could use the arrow brake for a difficulty of 1, but I don't want to test it using a ion engine. So that's going to come back for 2 years, and that'll be back in Earth orbit then. I've got 2 probes right now out at Saturn flyby, and they are going to explore Saturn. I'm not going to look at Titan. I'm not going to look at Enceladus. I don't want to pull over new missions. If I explore them, I'm going to have to draw a mission for each of them, and I do not want to do that. So all I'm going to do is flip over Saturn, because Saturn is one of the missions that I have. So Saturn, significant debris from Saturn's rings, roll 1 or 2 and damage chosen component. So that is an alpha mission. Let's see what we've got here. We've got 2 options. So on a 1 through 4, I'll choose the first one. It's a 1. So here's the first one. So Saturn Orbiter, get a working probe or capsule into Saturn orbit. So this is an example of where it may have benefited me to keep that ion engine to try to get into Saturn orbit. It almost certainly would have done that, but I think I'm going to have to send more probes anyway to get Ganymede and Callisto, so I'll think about that at that point. So I'll clean this up. I'll put the new mission over there. I'll take Saturn survey back, and we will go from there. Otherwise, these I'll go ahead and remove these actually at this point, because they can't go onto Uranus. There's no maneuver for them there, and they're going to be lost at the end of the turn. So we'll go ahead and just discard the 2 probes anyway, and I will clean that up. All right, after doing a bit of math here, I've determined that I think what I need to buy, and I've done the math to kind of work out the entirety of the Mars mission. So I'll go through that as we get a little closer, but I'm going to start buying components that are going to help with that particular mission. So I'm going to buy the Atlas rocket tech for $10, and that should be, I need landing still, so that's not it yet, but I do need Atlas. We'll put 3 outcomes on that. There's that. That's 10. I'm going to buy another ion engine. I'll need one of those. That's another 10. And then for the remainder of the money here, I'm buying 10 food. I'm going to need that as well. So that's the remainder of the money. And that is the end of 1965. So moving on now to 1966. I've got a time token coming off. This year I'm just going to buy 3 Atlases. That's $15. And another Saturn rocket. That's $15. So that's all of the cash for this turn. So currently we've got 2 Saturn rockets and 3 Atlas rockets, and hopefully that's mostly on camera there for you. So that is the end of that turn. We'll move on to 1967. We'll get our cash back. Our ion thruster has arrived here into Earth orbit, and let's see what I need to do this turn. All right, I think what I'll do, I've got 2 Saturn rockets here. I'm going to make a rocket out of 10 food. That's a mass of 10. I'm going to make 2 Atlas rockets. Now we're up to 18, an ion thruster, and a probe. That is a mass of 20. So we're going to put this here. We're going to go to suborbital flight and then Earth orbit. So Saturn rocket across a difficulty of 3, which is to get to suborbital flight. That can do 46 2/3. So my payload is 20 plus the 20 for the other Saturn rocket it's carrying. That's fine. And then from suborbital space to Earth is difficulty 5. Saturn can take 20 across that, which is exactly the rest of the payload there. So using 2 Saturn rockets to do that, and I think I am going to start removing outcomes from the Saturn rockets. I'm going to start sending up some pretty expensive components, so I would really like for them to succeed. So here's for the first one up to suborbital space. That's a success. I'm paying to get rid of that. And then the next one is also a success up into Earth orbit. So these 2 Saturn rockets are gone. We have successfully brought everything up into orbit. Let me think about what I need to do with that now. All right, I've done a little bit of housekeeping here. So I've made 3 new ships with all of the things that we've got in Earth orbit. We've got 2 probes and an ion here. we've got 3 probes, a food, and an ion here with this token. And then everything else that I'm keeping in Earth orbit, that's all the other food, the Atlas rockets, everything there, it's just going to be represented with this symbol here. Since rendezvous is fine, it's just going to be the mix of everything I've got in orbit. So with the 2 probes and the ion, that's going to head off to interplanet transfer, and it's going to try to get the other 2, it's going to get Ganymede and Callisto to finish up those missions. So it's going off to interplanet transfer. That's difficulty 3, got a mass of 3, so that's going to take 2 years for that ship. And then with the 2 probes, the food, or 3 probes rather, 3 probes, the food, and the ion, that's going to go off to the Earth cycler. That's a difficulty of 3. So difficulty of 3, I've got a payload, or a total mass of 5. That's 15. So that'll take 3 years for the ion engine to get out to Earth cycler. Eventually, that is going to go test aerobraking with all of those components and landing on Mars. So that's the goal with that ship. Okay, I also see that I forgot to flip over $20 for all that Saturn rocket testing. Sorry about that. So there's 20. I'm going to test fire the Atlas that I have on the ground here. So we'll go ahead and pull a card for that. That's $10. I think I'm going to go ahead and spend the 10 to get rid of it. We need the Atlas rockets to definitely work. It's one thing to have rocket failures when I'm pushing a probe or 2 out to Jupiter, but when I'm planning a huge mission with astronauts out to Mars, those rockets just need to work. So I'll spend the money to remove that, and we'll keep testing that before we go. And I think with that, that is the end of 1967. All right, so it's the beginning of 1968. Get our money back here and take time tokens off. So I did stop for a little bit and do some planning out of the missions, and I do happen to know what missions are possible over in the Jupiter system that are still remaining, still looking for Callisto and Ganymede. And so I know that it is possible to get a lander mission at Callisto and either a lander or a sample return mission at Ganymede. So I'm looking at how much money I have, how much time I've got, and I don't think at this point the Ganymede sample return mission is possible. So if I do happen to pull that, I don't think that's going to be possible, but I have planned out some missions that would do the lander missions out there. I've also got the Mars mission planned out that I'm hoping to do to get those missions there, as well as the lunar missions. And then also need to work on Ceres and getting Uranus survey. And a lot of these missions need ion engines. I'm going to need a lot of them. So I'm going to go ahead and start buying them. So this turn I'm just going to buy 3 ion engines. That'll be $30. That's all the money. And that is it for 1968. So moving to 1969, flipping our money back over, taking time tokens off. So we have arrived here at the interplanet transfer with this ship here. This is heading off to Saturn. So we need to go to Venus flyby. That's a difficulty of 2. So we've got mass of 3. That is going to take 2 years to get out to Venus flyby. And I see that I actually need to take, let's see here. Make sure I did this right. Give me a second. Yeah, okay, so I messed this up a little bit. Yeah, I think it'll be okay. But that ship can't leave Venus flyby until 1974. And so I need to put some extra time tokens on it, which I am allowed to do, but that does kind of mess up my plan a little bit. I'm not sure how I messed that one up, but that's all right. Okay, that needs to get to Venus flyby in 1974, so that's going to need 5 time tokens on it right now. And it needs to get there in 74 so that it catches the Jupiter transfer in 1974, followed by the Saturn transfer in 1975. So let me make sure I'm doing the math right there. Yes, that'll be fine. It's a little inconvenient for other purposes here, but that's all right. So we've got the $30 million, and yeah, I think what we'll do is buy a Saturn rocket. The Saturn rockets still have one outcome left on them. I would like to make sure that everything is okay with the Saturn rockets, so I'm going to launch something pretty light, I think, at the moment, and relatively inexpensive. Yeah, let me figure out what I want to launch on this Atlas rocket, or the Saturn rocket, and I'll be right back. All right, so I've got $15 left. I'm spending 10 of it on an Apollo capsule. I do have re-entry tech, so I can buy that. Science module and one food. That will leave me with $5. So I'm buying that, and I'm going to send up the science module and the Apollo on one Saturn. And I'll need them eventually, and it's relatively cheap in case something does happen to this Saturn rocket here. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that directly to Earth orbit on a Saturn. So here we go. It is a success. So I get to get rid of that for free. Saturn rockets are now good to go. That uses up the Saturn. And these come to space, and I'm going to go ahead and dump them off into the Earth orbit stack that I've got going on. With the remaining $5 for the year, I'm going to buy a Vostok, an experiment, and a food. That's $5. And that's just going to be on the ground at the moment. So that's the end of the year. I do now have a capsule up in Earth orbit. There's no astronaut in it, but I do have, yep, I've got an Apollo capsule here. So I can at least start checking life support just so I have an idea of what's here. So first one is a success. So I don't have any money to get rid of that, but I'm just going to try to get an idea of what's here to see what I need to plan for and send up later on. So with that, that's the end of 1969. Moving on to 1970. We've got our time tokens coming off. We are now at the Earth cycler with 3 probes, a food, and an ion engine. So that is just going to move over to Mars cycler for free, and that's going to be $3, 3 time tokens being added there. Let's see here. I am going to need more Saturn rockets, so I think I'll just buy 2 of them with my with $30 here. This turn. And let's see, do I want to launch anything? Let me take a look. I don't think I'll launch anything at the moment, so that'll be the end of 1970. Moving on to, well, before I move on to 1971, let's draw another life support. It's a success. Again, just trying to shuffle as well as I can here, but I have now pulled 2 successes, so that's good to see. All right, now we're moving on to 1971. Time tokens come off. Money is returned. All right, let me see what I want to buy here. Okay, so I'm going to buy this turn a probe, an ion engine, a Galileo probe, and a probe. So that's $19. Let's go ahead and flip that over. There's 15. There's 19, so I've got 11 remaining. And then I'm going to launch a bunch of stuff up into orbit here. I've got 2 Saturn rockets. That'll launch 20 up to orbit. I need to bring the space habitat I've got. That's going to be 9. The Vostok for 11. The experiment for 12. Let's see here. 3 ion engines for 15. And then the stuff I just bought is 5 more. So that's a total of 20. The Saturn rockets are good, so I don't even have to test that. I'm just going to bring them right up into my Earth orbit stack. So I've got quite a bit of stuff there. And I'm going to pause for a second, separate them out, and make sure I know what I've got going on. All right, so I've separated some stuff out here. I know it's a little off camera, so I'll go through it. I'm going to make a new ship. It's an experiment. It's 3 ion engines, 5 food, a science module, an Atlas rocket, a Vostok capsule, an Apollo capsule, and a space habitat. And all of this is going to go start heading out to Mars. The total mass of this is 12, 14, 18, 25, 29. Mass of 29. I've got 3 ion engines. It's currently parked in Earth orbit, but it's going to go out to the Earth Cycler. That's a difficulty of 3. I've got a mass of 29. We'll just call it 30 because it's not going to matter, I think, for what I've got going on. So 30 times 3 is 90. I need 90 thrusts. I've got 3 ion engines, so each one of them needs to provide 30, and that is going to be 6 years. So it's going to take it 6 years to get out to the Earth Cycler, and then eventually it'll take 3 more to get to Mars. But that's all right. I've got time on that one. That's okay. So it is on its way. It needed to leave by 1973 to do what I needed to do on time. So 1971 is fine. Another ship that I just broke off of our Earth orbit stack is 1 probe and 1 ion engine. This is going to be what heads out to Uranus, and it needs to leave in 1974. But I don't want to forget about it. It's currently 1971. And what it's going to do is head to outer planet transfer. It's a probe and an ion engine. So typically that would take, let's see, it's a mass of 2 and a difficulty of 6. So that's 12. Typically it would take 3 years. But I don't need to leave until 74, but it's 71, but I don't want to forget about it. So it's going to go out there and just take 5 years to get there. In 5 years, it'll be able to, let me make sure I'm doing this right. 3, let's see, I'm going 3 years. Oh, I'm sorry, 6 years. Watch me mess this up. Planning so far in advance, I'm messing it up. It's going to take 6 years to get out there. So I'll put the time tokens on. And then in 6 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it'll be able to take the Uranus flyby transfer out to Uranus flyby, and it'll get there in 1986, and we'll be able to finish that mission. So I'm leaving early, but I just don't want to forget about it. It's easy enough to just take the time token off, and that way I will not forget about it. The next mission that needs to leave would be the Ganymede Callisto lander rocket, if that is going to be leaving. So I'm not going to know what mission I have at Ganymede until it looks like 1975, which is coincidentally when I would need to leave for a Ganymede lander mission. So I'm just going to plan as though that is the mission going forward, and if it's not, then I'm just going to switch it over to a Callisto only lander, or Callisto lander only. So what that means, I need ion engines is what that means. So I'm going to spend $10 on another ion engine, and with the $1 remaining, I'll buy another food. I don't know that I need another food, but actually I'm going to buy a medical supply just in case. We'll do that. That is the end of all the money, and that is the end of everything that I need to do this year. So we'll move on. Oh, before I move on, I'm out of money. We're going to move to, before I move on to 72, I do now have 2 capsules up in space. So I'm going to draw life support. Actually I have 3 because I've got the Vostok, I've got the Apollo, and I have a Space Hab. So I've got 3 up there. So the first one is a success. I'm going to try to shuffle these as best I can. It's very difficult with only 3. The second one is a minor failure. That's good to know. And again, I don't have any money to remove it. And the third one is a minor failure. So I've seen successes and minor failures. Probably all it is in there. So as long as I'm going to keep pulling them. If I don't see a major failure, I might just leave them there and bring an engineer with me, bring a mechanic. We'll see. I'll cross that bridge when we get there. My concern at the moment is that we have not explored suborbital space, and so we don't know if we're going to need a medic. There's no solar radiation. That's great. But I don't know what's under this card, so we'll have to see. All right, moving on to 1972. Money comes back. Time tokens come off. We'll take off all these time tokens here. All right, give me a second, and I'll figure out what I'm buying. All right, for 25, I'm buying 2 ion engines and a Galileo. I'll just put these here on Earth for the time being. So that leaves me with $5, and then at the, okay, that leaves me with $5. So at the end of the year, I'm going to check life support again. Again, I've got 3 of them, and if I see a failure, I've got $5 that I can pull it out. So first one's a minor failure. I'm going to pay to remove that. The next one is a success, and try very hard here. I've already forgotten which one's which. The second one is a success. So we'll just keep pulling 3 of them, and if I can convince myself that they're all successes in there at this point, maybe I won't need to send up a mechanic with that ship. So that's the end of 72. Moving on to 73. Money comes back. Time tokens are removed. And we've got something somewhere. This ship is now in the Mars Cycler spot. So let me take a look here. I think what I'm going to have to do is test aero braking. Yeah, okay. The next most important thing I need to do at this point is test aero braking. So what has arrived at Mars Cycler? That's 3 probes, a food, and an ion thruster. So I'm going to break apart the probes basically, and one at a time test them for aero braking. I'm going to pay to remove successes and failures. So there's $10 for the first one. Major failure for the second, that's $15 and a destroyed probe. And the last one is a success, so I only have to end up paying $15, one for the first success and one for the failure. But now aero braking is good to go, and I only lost 1 probe in that process. So just moving the token over here to Mars orbit, and right now that's 2 probes of food and an ion thruster. So I am currently in Mars orbit. I'm going to survey Mars at the moment because I do have 2 probes there, and we just have 3 features that are possible there. So that'll be something to explore. I need to buy landing tech at some point, and then I need to test landing. I still have to test re-entry as well. That's something, we got a few things to test, so I just need to keep that in mind as I go. The little sheet I've got here that I'm working off just has things I need to buy for the missions, but it doesn't necessarily include all of the testing that I would like to do. So let's see here. Let me regroup and figure out what I want to do. Well, I have $15. That's a good amount to buy a Saturn rocket, so I'm going to do that. I need several of those. That's the end of my money. I do have another probe at Mars orbit. I am going to go ahead and survey Phobos just for the heck of it. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, so there can be 1 feature present there. Yeah, I don't know that that was necessary, but that's fine. We'll go ahead and do that. And I've got no money left, but I do have the 3 capsules. So first one is a success for life support. Let's see here. Second one is a success. And the third one is a success. These are all probably successes. Who knows? But that's the end of the year. So we're going to move on now to 1974. Money comes back. Time tokens come off. And we are now in Venus flyby. I'll go ahead and move that out to Jupiter flyby. Mass of 3, difficulty of 1, so that 1 ion engine is sufficient to do that. So we're on our way to Jupiter, and we'll be able to survey the remainder of the system once we get there. Let's see what else we need to do. All right, so with the money this year, I'm buying 1 Saturn rocket, 1 Atlas rocket. That's $20, and then I'm buying the landing tech. That's another 10, so that is all of the money for the year. Put 3 outcomes on landing there. So that's all the money. I don't have any money to test landing at the moment. I think that's everything I can do. So, just taking a look here. Yeah, I think that's everything. So that's the end of the year. We'll just test life support because, once again, we can. So, first one is a success. Second one's a success. I'm trying so hard to forget which one I've pulled. Third one's a success. So surely those are all successes at this point. The time token moves to 75, or the time marker, I should say. We are getting our money back and removing time tokens everywhere. All right, we've arrived at Jupiter. So here we go. I've got 2 probes. I need to survey Ganymede, and I need to survey Callisto. Okay, I made a huge mistake, but I don't actually think it matters. ultimately. So you've probably noticed this since the very beginning of the game. Callisto over there is explored. When I put it out there, I just assumed it was the unexplored side since it has nothing on it. I don't know what happened. I thought it was unexplored. So really, Callisto should be flipped over on the unexplored side. I didn't realize that I hadn't done that. But I didn't realize I hadn't done that. So I built the mission just as I would have to go explore Callisto because I thought I needed to do that. So my mistake there, but it doesn't actually matter too much, I think. So my apologies about that. Callisto should be unexplored. So let me change that for a second. Okay, so Callisto out here should be unexplored like it currently is. That's not how it has been, but that's how it should have been. But again, I didn't realize it when I built these missions. So I think we're okay. I'm just going to keep moving forward. So now I'm at Jupiter Flyby with 2 probes, and I'm going to explore Callisto. Hey, there's nothing on it, which means there's no mission. I did not realize that card, I didn't even realize that I wasn't going to have a mission for Callisto out there. So, okay, so that is what it is. So Callisto is flipped over, and there's no mission to draw. So, okay. Let's flip Ganymede over. So Ganymede is valuable mineral samples on Earth are worth $50. And it requires an alpha mission. There are 2 alpha missions in the deck here. If I'll just roll on a 1 through 4, I'll take the top one. It is a 6, that's the bottom one. And that is Ganymede Sample Return. Huh. All right. Now, when I had previously talked about, I'm not going to be able to do Ganymede Sample Return, it's just not going to happen, that was under the assumption that I also had to go to Callisto. Now, I still think it's probably too late, but I'm going to take a look at this and see if that's something possible. We did just complete the Ganymede survey and the Jupiter system survey over there in the top. So I'll rearrange the missions here. So we got those 2, and we now have to think about attempting Ganymede Sample Return. All right, I fixed up the missions over there. So again, we did get Jupiter System Survey. Everything is now correctly explored out there. We got Ganymede as part of that, and now we have Ganymede Sample Return as a mission to get. With the 2 probes and ion engine that we currently have at Jupiter Flyby, we want to move on to Saturn Flyby. We can do that this year, so that's fine. But we do have to experience the Jupiter hazard. So we've got, on a 1 to a 4, each probe has to roll. On a 1 to a 4, it is damaged. So here's the first one, is a 4, and the second one is a 1. So isn't that something? Both of those have been destroyed, or damaged, I should say. I think it's damaged. Yeah, damaged. That is unfortunate because I needed those to go get the Saturn mission, which is Saturn Orbiter. Again, it's not necessarily something I need to win the game in terms of getting half the points, but I was hoping to get every mission. That's going to be very difficult now that that has decided to stop working. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and remove these 2 probes. I'm just going to throw them away. They're not really worth anything anymore. I do have an ion thruster, though. That still works. So I'm just going to send that out to Outer Planet Transfer. That is a difficulty of 4. It takes 2 years to do it, so that's fine. I'll just bring it back to Earth. I don't know if I'm going to need it or not, but it's not doing me any good right now at Jupiter. So, yeah. Let me take a look and see where we are. We've got $30. This was the year that I needed to go do the Ganymede and Callisto lander. I don't have to do Callisto lander anymore. So, and I don't have Ganymede lander, so I'm going to see if Ganymede Sample Return is something that is even possible at this point. And if not, I'll probably repurpose that to try and go out to do the Saturn Orbiter mission. All right, so I've taken a look at it, and I don't think there's anything I'm going to be able to do to get Ganymede Sample Return. It's too late at this point. So I'm not going to be able to complete every mission. I'll try to get the rest of them, though. So with that having been said, I'm going to buy quite a few things here. So these are things I already own on the ground that are going to be launched momentarily. And then these are things I'm going to be buying. I'm buying a ground habitat for 15. 3 Vostok capsules for 6 more, an Atlas rocket for 5 more, and an Eagle for 4 more. That's $30. And this is a mass here of some amount. That's 16, 17, 18, 19. Let's see here. Oh, I'm not sending the Eagle up. That's just going to go on the ground at the moment. So here we're looking at 10, 15, 18 for 3 ion thrusters that I already owned, and then 2 more for the Galileo probe that I already owned. That's going up to space on 2 Saturn rockets. Right now, I'm just going to put this in that pile right there. I do need to leave for Jupiter with 2 Galileo probes, so go ahead and separate those out. I do also need an ion engine. So where's my other Galileo? Here it is. So this particular ship is 2 Galileo probes and an ion thruster. I'm actually going to send 2 ion thrusters. 2 Galileos, 2 ion thrusters. And it is going out to the interplanet transfer. It's going to take probably less than 3 years, but the math I've done here assumed 1 ion engine, so I'm just going to do 3 years. Then I'll do 2 years to Venus flyby, and then 1 to Jupiter. So again, 3 probably doesn't need 3, but I'm just doing 3 to make sure that I time it correctly. All right, I've got no money left. I have a few things on the ground here. I'm also going to go ahead and get 1 ion engine and 1 probe. Let's see, am I doing that right now? I need to send something off to Ceres. It needs to leave by 1982, but I don't have landing worked out yet, so I'm actually just going to wait on that. So I've got no money left, so I think that's going to be it for 1975. We'll move on now to 1976. The money comes back. I guess I already did that. Before we actually move on to 1976, I'm just going to test life support again because I can do that. So the first one is a success. Got 3 of them, so the second one's a success. And the third one is a success. All right. Time tokens come off of everything. I guess I should go in order here, but there we go. Okay. 1976. Where are we at? Let me take a look and see what we need to do. Okay, I'm going to start testing re-entry and landing. I've got the 3 Vostoks here that are currently up in Earth orbit, and I'm just going to send them down one at a time to do re-entry and landing. And I'll just pay for whatever I can to make sure that those techs are good to go. So here we go. We're going to do re-entry with the first one. That's a success. I'm going to pay to get rid of that momentarily, and then I'm going to test landing. That is a success, so that is $20. That's most of what I got here. There we go. So we'll get rid of those successes, and that is 1 Vostok capsule that is safely back down on the ground now. All right, I do have another Vostok here, and do I want to keep testing that? Let me think. Yeah, I'll go ahead and keep testing that. So I've only got $10 left, but I'm going to go ahead and do re-entry with the next one. That is a success. I will pay to remove that. So that is the rest of my money. It's also going to test landing. That's a success. I can't get rid of it. I don't have money to do that. So I'm just going to shuffle that back into the deck for now. All right, but it does come back safely. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it back down as well. So with that, that's the end of 1976. We've got our 3 capsules that I'm going to be checking life support on here. So here we go. First one is a success. Second's a success. Third's a success. So surely those are successes. But we're moving on now to 1977. Money comes back. Time tokens come off. We've got a lot of things that have arrived different places here. So let's take a look at what we've got. We've got this one here that is heading off now to Uranus. It's out here at Outer Planet Transfer. It's going to go out to Uranus flyby. It takes 9 years to do it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that'll get there on the very last year of the game. So that's fine. We've got this here, which has arrived at Earth Cycler. That's my large ship. It's just going to head off to Mars Cycler. That's a 3-year free move. This is my Earth orbit stack. It's not doing anything at the moment. This is my, let's see, that's over at Mars orbit, not doing anything at the moment. And then I've got my lone ion thruster. It's not going to have really much of a purpose, I think. So I'll bring him back to Earth over the course of 1 year, but it doesn't matter too much, I think, at this point. All right, for 15, I'm going to buy a Saturn rocket. All right, I'm going to launch 2 Vostocks and a medical supply up on the Saturn here. I don't have any more tokens available for it, so just trust me here. We've got 2 Vostocks, a medical supply, and an astronaut. We're going to send Sally Ride up into space on a Saturn rocket, so that is going to automatically go from Earth up to Earth orbit. So this stack here is in Earth orbit. I'll just remind myself of that here at the moment. But because we have now sent an astronaut through suborbital space, we flip over suborbital space, and that is going to be roll a die per astronaut, and on a 1 through 3 they are incapacitated. Rolled a 1, so that means our astronaut has become incapacitated. It is good to know that that space is there. That is so unfortunate. I still think we'll be okay, but that is something that we're definitely going to have to plan for now at this point. So I've got $15 left. There are currently 3 Vostok capsules up in space. I'm going to go ahead and re-enter one of them, not with our astronaut, but this is our last one. That's a success. That goes away for free. And I'll test landing with it. That is a success. And that I'm going to go ahead and pay $10 to get rid of. We have $5 remaining. So that brings 1 Vostok capsule back down. So I'll just bring the one that was currently part of Sally Ride's ship here. So in Earth orbit still is a Vostok, a medical supply, and Sally Ride. I'm going to move the medical supplies over to the Earth orbit stack. There is a Vostok still over here somewhere. Where did it go? There it is. There's a Vostok. I'm going to send that one down and test landing. Re-entry is good right now, so I don't have to test for that, but I'm going to do the final landing one. It's a success. I get to get rid of that for free. So that Vostok comes on back down to the ground, and then re-entry and landing are now good to go. So the final Vostok that's up there with our astronaut is going to come back down as well, and she's going to be fine. She'll be healed on the ground at the end of the year. So with that, we've got $5 left. We did get Man in Space, so we'll go ahead and take that mission. All right, I've got $5 left, and I'm going to need another astronaut, and that's definitely going to have to be a medic. So we'll pay $5 for a medic, and that is the end of the year. We'll test life support again just because we can. Success, success, success. All right. All right, it becomes 1978. We get our money back. Time tokens come off. All right, so we are in interplanet transfer now with this ship here. It's going to go off to Venus flyby for 2 years. We've got this ion thruster back here. I'm just going to add it to the Earth orbit stack and get one of our tokens back. All right, give me a second to think about what we need to do. All right, one thing we need to do before next year is fully test our Atlas rockets. I've got one on the ground. Yep, I've got one on the ground here. I've actually got one in, I've got 2 in space. I only need 1 for the mission to go to Mars. All right, I'm going to test fire the one we currently own on the ground here. It is a major failure, so that's destroyed, but I only pay $5 for it, so that's something. Alright, gonna buy another Atlas rocket for another 5, so we'll just flip this over instead. And we'll launch it, we'll test fire it as well. That's a success, so I don't have to pay to remove it, but I have lost that Atlas rocket. Alright, so I'm at $20, let me think about where to go from here. Not quite sure where to go from here yet. So in the meantime, I've got 2 probes over at Mars orbit. And I think one of them is going to go land on Mars. That's free to do. It's a 0 maneuver. Reentries, probes don't need reentry. Landing is fine. So we'll just go ahead and draw a Mars feature. So we get points for methane, changing methane levels in the atmosphere from an unknown source. So we will go ahead and add that to our point total over here. And that is one probe that is, nope, where are we at? One probe that is down on Mars. I'll just put that down there. And I think the other one, it could go out to Phobos, but I think it's just going to go down to Mars as well. So we've got another probe here, and I'll send it down to Mars for another feature. So local conditions, nothing interesting discovered. So that is one of our 3 features. I've got 2 probes that are on Mars. They're probably not going to do much for us at this point. I'm just going to set them off to the side. Really, I was just stalling because I'm not sure what to do from here. One sec. All right, with my remaining $20, I'm buying a Saturn rocket, and I'm also going to hire another scientist. All right, that is the end of 1978. This seems completely unnecessary at this point, but we'll just draw success, success, success. All right. Going to 1979, our money comes back and time tokens come off. All right, this is the year that we need to leave for Mars with the crew. So let me figure out the best way to do that. All right, here's what we got. Hiring another scientist, buying an, well, let's see, let's get this on camera. So I'm buying an Atlas scientist, an Eagle capsule, and a Saturn rocket. That is all but $1, so find a dollar in here somewhere. So we have $1 still. We've just spent $29. Nope, there we go. All right, so on 2 Saturn rockets, we are going to launch the 3 Vostocks that we've already got, 2 Eagles that we now own, an Atlas rocket just for the heck of it, and 4 astronauts. We've got 3 scientists and a medic. We only need, yeah, I'm not sure. We need some of them to not be incapacitated. We can bring some of them back in the event that they do become incapacitated, but we need them to get up to Earth orbit without being incapacitated. So that whole stat goes up on 2 Saturn rockets, and I need to roll a die for each one of the astronauts we just sent up. So here's the medic, 7. He is fine. Just one of the scientists, 8. That's fine. Next one is a 4. They are fine. And a 1. So one of them has become incapacitated, whoever's on the bottom here. Jack Schmidt. Okay. All right, 1 astronaut has been incapacitated. Let me see. Let's see. Oh, I meant to send these 2 food up as well. The 2 food should have gone up as well. There was plenty of payload space on that rocket. All right, let me see what I need to do with these. Okay, the first thing that's happening is that the incapacitated astronaut's coming back down to Earth on a Vostok. So he'll be fine. I did move the food over to our Earth orbit stack. So that's step 1. All right, step 2 is I'm breaking apart some things that are already in Earth orbit. I've got 3 food. I've got 2 Eagle capsules. They are going to have, let's see, we want Sally Ride, and we're going to have the other scientist here. Let's see, Ulf Merbold. And they are going to form a ship right there. With an Atlas rocket that was, everything here is actually in space. I just had to move it to make sure that I had room for it. The medic is going to come back down on another Vostok capsule. This one is up in space. Everything I had was up in space. So sorry for the mess, but getting confusing here with all the different parts and pieces that we've got. So right now I have a ship with 3 food, 2 Eagle capsules, 2 scientists, and an Atlas rocket. So what I need to do then is send that out to the Earth Cycler. It's going to use the Atlas rocket to do it. It's got a payload of 5. That's 3 food and 2 Eagle capsules. And using the Atlas rocket, it's going to automatically, or rather, it's not going to take any time to go out to the Earth Cycler. And then I'll go ahead and move it out to the Mars Cycler. That's going to take it 3 years to get there. Let's see here. So that's that. Let me see what else. Okay, I think that's basically it for the year. So this ship that we just made, that's heading off to Mars, has 2 Eagle capsules, which means it has a seating capacity of 4. I've got 2 astronauts, so they're not alone, so they don't need to worry about the mental health check for that. And they only take up half the seats, so they don't need to worry about that either. So they'll be fine. I've got 3 food. That's going to get them out to Mars. So I'll eat one of those. I think that's at the end of each year. Yep, food goes away at the end of each year. And then, let's see here. We've got our astronaut back on the ground. He'll be healed at the end of the year. I don't need to go to Ceres quite yet. That will be pretty soon, though. I think that's everything I need to do for the year. So at the end of the year, I do have to check life support for the 2 astronauts now. I've got 2 capsules there, and I've got the 3 that are already on the way to Mars on the other ship. So we've got a success, and we've got a success. And there's 3 more. Success, success, and success. I think I'm going to just pay $10 at some point here soon, just so I can stop drawing what are obviously 2 successes. So let's see, at the end of the year, he'll be healed. I'll get the money back. All right, this is at the beginning of next year at this point. Time tokens come off. Before I do that, before the end of the year, one of these foods gets consumed. All right, so we are now in 1980. Our ship here at Venus Flyby is going to Jupiter Flyby. That's going to take it 1 year to get there. Let's see here. We have arrived at Mars Cycler with the large ship on the way to Mars. It's just going to aerobrake for free into Mars orbit. It's going to absorb the things that are all... nope, sorry, wrong one. It was an ion and a food. It's just going to absorb what was already in Mars orbit. That way I can take the token back. That's an Earth orbit. And I'm going to take one of the ion engines and a probe that are currently in Earth orbit and make a new ship out of it. And it's going to head to the interplanet transfer. It's a mass of 2, difficulty 3. So it'll take 2 years to get out to the interplanet transfer. And that's going to head out to Ceres to get that mission. Oh, a few things. So Mars lander, I completed that a while ago when I landed those ships down on Mars. Let's see, are there any others that I completed and forgot? I don't think so. All right. Oh, yeah, space station. Man in space at start of year. I just got that one because we do have 2 astronauts that are up in space. All right, what else? I've got $30 million here. Let's see what I need to do. All right, with the money this year, I'm buying an Atlas rocket, a Saturn rocket. That leaves me with $10, which I'm going to use to get rid of one of those life support successes out there. So that's the end of the year. So at the end of the year, we need to consume a food from this ship. We need to check life support. Here's the first one, paying $10 to get rid of that. And then the second one is, oh, that's a surprise. It is a success. So that goes away for free. So no longer have to check life support. Life support's good to go. We are moving on to 1981, where our money comes back. Our time tokens come off. And we have arrived at Jupiter with an ion engine, or 2 ion engines, and 2 Galileos. So here at Jupiter Flyby, I'm going to go ahead and survey Io and Europa. Those require the advanced survey for those missions. And yeah, so that is going to be those missions completed. I'll go grab those in a second. And then they're going to move on to Saturn Flyby. It is a year that they can do that. So here we go. We do cross over the Jupiter hazard. So a Galileo probe is -1 to the radiation. So on a 1 through a 3, it becomes destroyed or damaged. So the first one is a 5, so it's fine. And the second one's a 3, so it's damaged. So that, but we do have one of them, so that's okay. That should be enough, hopefully, to finish the Saturn mission. It'll be 2 years to get out there. All right. All right, so I've gone ahead and taken those missions here. And let's see where we are at now. All right, I've got $30. I haven't spent anything yet this year. With that 30, I'm buying a Saturn, an Atlas, and let's see, hiring an engineer, and hiring another engineer. That is $30. That's all of our cash. Just put these over here. And that is the end of the year, so we consume another food here with our astronauts. Life support is good to go, so we'll move on to 1982. Money comes back. Time tokens get taken off. All right. So we are here at Mars Cycler with our astronauts. They're going to move over to Mars orbit for free in aero break. So we'll just combine them here at the moment. They'll be separated out momentarily. But now that we are in Mars orbit with a habitat, we can complete manned Mars flyby. That's manned to Mars flyby. And back, they have returned to a habitat, which does complete the requirements of that mission. We completed this one a little while ago, working habitat in Mars orbit. We do have that there, so we'll take these missions. We haven't completed the other ones yet, but we will get there. Let's see here. Let me think of what to do next. All right, well, our probe on the way to Ceres has arrived here at interplanet transfer. So it's going to move out to Ceres. It's a difficulty of 5, and we've got a mass of 2. So that's 10. So that'll take 2 years for that ship to get out there on the ion engine. All right, and let me think here. We've got some stuff to do at Mars. All right, I've split apart our Mars ship here into 2 different pieces. We've got the piece that's going to go down to the surface. That's our 2 astronauts, the Apollo and the Vostok that we sent a while ago. It's got a seating capacity of 4, and it can go through the atmosphere with the re-entry hazard. So they'll be able to stay down there for a year because they have, like I said, the seating capacity of 4. They're going to take a food with them so that they can eat at the end of this year. They're going to take the experiment down with them, as well as the science module, so that they can complete that. And they're going to bring an Atlas rocket with them so that they can get back up. So we'll go ahead and put that here on this token. That'll go down to Mars. When you go to a location that has the ability to have a feature explored, you may pull a feature, but you don't have to. And I'm not gonna, because I don't want there to be a feature there that says spacecraft destroyed. That would be no good. So I'm just gonna leave it as is. We're gonna have nothing interesting discovered there. We're gonna land at that desert or something. And then staying up in orbit are 5 food I brought along with me, the space habitat, I've got some ion engines, got a lot of ion engines just because, and 2 Eagle capsules. Really nothing of too much importance with the exception of the space habitat that we'll need. So we've landed down there on Mars. We can go ahead and complete the experiment. So we'll go ahead and do that. We have a scientist, we've got 2 scientists. We've got an experiment and a science module. So we'll go ahead and complete that experiment. Now we don't get that mission yet. We do have to get it back to Earth. So we will do that shortly. But that's it there. And we have nothing else here. Nothing else that we need to do on the space station. And I think that's all we can and need to do at the moment. So we'll go ahead and move on. Oh, I have money. I should spend the money. Let me think about what to spend that on. All right, for $30, I am hiring 4 more engineers. I'm buying 2 Eagle capsules and another Vostok. The idea here is that it is very difficult to get into space for astronauts, and so the way I'm going to counteract that is to just send as many of them as I can, and any that don't get up to space healthy get to come back down in all these Vostok capsules. Because the only other mission we really have left is our mission to the moon, and it doesn't need to leave until 1985. So I have some time on that. We did spend this money. So probably don't have a whole lot else to do with our money at the moment, but we'll see. So that's the end of the turn. Our astronauts on the ground here consume their food that they brought along with them. So we'll get rid of that. All right. And then it is going to move on to the next year here. So get our money back. Our time tokens come back, or 1 of them each. And we did complete Mars Station, which is Man on Mars at start of year. So we are at the start of a year and we have astronauts on Mars. So we'll go ahead and take those points there. So we have our astronauts on Mars. They're going to come back to the Martian space station there on an Atlas rocket. They are going to come up with the Apollo capsule as well as an experiment. That's a mass of 4. It's a difficulty of 3. An Atlas rocket can do 5 across that, so that's fine. So we've got an Apollo, an experiment, and 2 astronauts coming up on the Atlas rocket. They're just going to leave the science module and the Vostok capsule on the ground. I'm just going to get rid of those. They will no longer be needed for anything. So they are back up here in the orbiting Martian space station. We can get rid of this token here. We need to get the experiment back. So let's see what we've got here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 ion thrusters. And we've got let's see here. Where's it at? We got our experiment. And we're going to send that back to Earth. That's a mass of 5. We're going to send it back directly to Earth orbit. So 5 times 5 is 25. We have more than enough ion engines here. We've got 4 of them. So that'll take the 3 years that it's got printed on the map. And we'll get that experiment back and complete that mission. We did also complete Man on Mars because we have a Man on Mars and back to a habitat, so that is completed. All right, here at Saturn, we're going to move from Saturn into Saturn orbit. It is let's see here. I'm going to get rid of the damaged Galileo probe because we don't need that anymore. We're going to break that off. Where does that go? It goes over here. We've got a mass of 4. It's a difficulty of 7, so that is 28. We've got 2 ion engines, so they will need to burn for 3 years to get into Saturn orbit. So another mistake I made here. I was planning on using the aero brake maneuver, but ion engines cannot do that. So we'll move up there. That's going to take 3 years. Because they can provide, each ion engine can provide 15 thrust over 3 years. And like I said, I need to have 28, so that's fine. We do have to go through the Saturn hazard though. So on a 1 to a 2, something gets damaged. So 5, nothing gets damaged. Need to check the rules. I know we're going to have to check for that each turn here that we sit on Saturn orbit. Yeah, okay, so at the end of each year, we'll have to continue to check for that hazard. All right, another thing of note. So in Mars orbit, I've got 5 food. I've got 2 astronauts. I am just going to probably stop looking at that particular ship at this point. There are 5 years left. They've got 5 food, so I've got plenty of money. We'll just say I keep sending food out to them. So they will be fine for the rest of the game at Mars orbit. So we're probably not going to take a look at that anymore. We do have, however, 1 Apollo capsule still here. And I'm giving consideration to sending it down to Mars just to see if I can get points. The concern would be is if I get extraterrestrial life, but then do not get the survey, did not get a sample, I should say. What I should have done is taken a sample with me off of Mars' surface with the astronauts and sent it back as well. That would have been able to head back to Earth anyway. I don't think that 40 points is going to be something that my concern is if I find extraterrestrial life, I'll get the 10 points, but then I won't be able to bring it back. So I'll lose 40 effectively for it. But I think I'm going to do it anyway, just because why not? So I'm going to send the Apollo capsule down to the Martian surface and pull a feature. So it's a component. So a meteorite with high platinum content counts as Mars sample, so no life. That's fine, nothing really happens for that. So at this point, like I was mentioning before, I'm just going to leave that token there, but I'm not going to mess with the food anymore. They're fine for the rest of the game, and that will be it for them. So I think at the end of the year here, I've got money. With the $30, I'll buy 2 more Saturn rockets just because I can, but I don't plan on doing much with them. But I'll have them as a contingency coming up in 1985. So at the end of the year, let's see, life support and food we talked about. We don't need to check that anymore. I get my money back. We move to 1983, and we take off the time tokens. All right, our ship has arrived at Ceres. I'm not going to explore a feature because I don't want it to get damaged. So maybe that's the wrong call, but I do complete the mission here of Ceres Lander. So that's another mission. And I'm going to go ahead and just remove... Actually, it's got an ion engine. I'll leave it there for now. We'll see. Maybe I'll leave and come back and land again and try to get a mission. Feature, I should say. So with that, I think I will buy a... Let's see, I'll just buy 2 Apollo capsules and 2 more engineers, and I think that's it. So I've got plenty of money for that, so we'll just move on now to the next turn, 1984. Time tokens come off. I guess I didn't move with that Ceres ship, but that's all right. That's it for 1984. Moving on to 1985, time tokens come off again. All right, we've got a lot to do here in 1985. I also forgot to roll for the Saturn hazard, so I should have rolled twice for that. So here's the first one, 7. The second one is a 4, so everything there is okay. With that, we have arrived into Saturn orbit with a working probe, so I can go ahead and take the Saturn orbiter mission. I feel like I might have miscounted time tokens. I didn't think I was going to get to Uranus until 1986. I left in 1977. I put 9 time tokens on in 1977. So at the beginning of 78, I should have 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I feel like this should have another time token. It doesn't matter. Either way, it'll be there, and we'll get that mission completed, but I'm not sure what happened there. All right, so this is Ceres. We're not doing anything else with that. Mars, we're not doing anything else with that. Saturn, nothing else needs to happen there. I'm not exploring anything else. I don't want to pull any more missions out there. So that's effectively done. This is back at Earth now. This is our experiment. So we'll send that back down to Earth, and we will get Mars experiment. All right, I think the only thing left to do at this point is to launch our lunar mission. So let's take a look and see what we have to do here. So in Earth orbit already, we've got ground habitat and 2 Atlas rockets. I need to acquire another token here, so I'm just going to get rid of these components. I don't need them anymore. They have completed their mission. So I'm going to break these apart into what I need for our lunar mission. We need ground habitat parts. We need 2 of these Atlas rockets and a food. And that should be it. We'll leave the rest of it here in Earth orbit. We've got 2 Saturn rockets. We're going to launch basically everything we can. I've got 2 Apollo capsules, that's 6 mass. I've got 2 Atlas rockets, that's 8 more, so that's going to be 14. I've got 2 Eagles, I need to make sure we launch those, that's 16. And then I've got 2 Vostocks, that'll fill it out for 20. I apologize, it's a little off screen, but that's 20 mass. So that's what the 2 Saturns here are going to be able to launch. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 engineers. So I've got seating capacity here for 12, so that's fine. Most of them are going to be coming right back down to Earth, but I want to make sure that 2 of them will head out to the moon. So I'm going to launch all of that up into Earth orbit. I've got 8, like I said, 8 astronauts, so I need to roll. So first one is fine. The second one is fine. So at that point, that's 2 of them that are fine. So I'll keep these 2 here and send the rest of them back down to Earth on these 2 Apollo capsules I brought up with me. So apologize, I know I'm kind of all over the place here at this particular mission, but basically sent up a whole bunch of astronauts and then sending them right back down. Just wanted to make sure that they made it there. They're gonna, so I moved the 2 astronauts over here. There wasn't actually a capsule yet, but they did come up with 2 Eagles. So they'll go with those Eagles there. They're gonna take 2 of those Atlas rockets, and then the Vostocks that came up last will just go over here into Earth as well. All right, so this ship that I've pieced together here out of all of that consists of ground habitat parts, 4 Atlas rockets, a food. We've got, I actually should have 2 food. There's more food up here in orbit, so take another food. And 2 Eagle capsules. So we are going to go ahead and move to lunar orbit with this ship. This is in Earth orbit. So sorry, we're getting a little messy here. But the payload is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for one of the Atlas rockets, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 for the ground habitat parts. So we need to burn 3 Atlas rockets. They do 5 apiece to go over to lunar orbit. Okay, I do not know what happened there. All right, lunar orbit. And then we're going to go down to the moon. It's a difficulty of 2, and now our payload is 9. So the Atlas rocket can do 9.5 across a difficulty of 2. So burn one of those, and we will head on down to the moon. Much like Mars, I'm not going to pull a feature because I don't want the spacecraft to be destroyed, but we are on the moon. We completed Lunar Lander, which is a working capsule on the moon. We've got that. We've got 2 Eagle capsules down there. And again, much like on Mars, we've got seating capacity for 4. We've got 2 astronauts, so they don't need anything more than food. At the end of the year, they will consume one of those foods, and we'll move on to 1986. We've got 2 engineers, or 2 mechanics, so they are going to build that ground habitat at the turn of the year. And here they are on the moon in a habitat. They're here at the end of, at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the final year here. So I guess all of that, what I'm trying to say is, man on the moon, they've completed. Man on the moon and back. They're on the moon and they're in a habitat, so they do get to complete that. They're on the moon at the start of the year, so they get to complete lunar station. And finally, our probe way out there at Uranus has completed Uranus survey, which was the last of the outer planets non-explorable missions that we have to complete as well. So the only missions that we still have left on the board at this point are Jupiter Orbiter and Ganymede Sample Return. Those don't have to be finished per the rules. We've got Extraterrestrial Life Survey. We never found life anywhere. And then I never actually had anybody up in Earth orbit getting the half a point a year. I could have done that. I had the money there. That could have happened, but I never got around to it. So let me add up the score and we'll close out the game here. All right, so I've added up the score. The final score here was 201 points acquired and 43 left on the table. Most of those obviously coming from those Jupiter missions that I we'll say I messed those up. I don't know what the right word is. I did not plan for those correctly or or whatever. But yeah, so 201 to 43, I did complete the primary objective of having more points than remain, but I did not complete my secondary objective of getting every mission. So got close. Those Jupiter ones are very tough, especially Ganymede sample return. Really, any of the sample returns out there are pretty tough, but Ganymede is the toughest of them all because you can't use ion engines to land on Ganymede. You can use ion engines to land on Callisto, you can use them to land on Europa, you can use them to land on Io. So with enough time, you can get ion engines out there, but Ganymede requires a different type of rocket because you can't use a time token to go from Ganymede orbit to Ganymede itself. So you've got to bring rockets out there with you, and if you're bringing rockets, that's mass, and mass takes it's so difficult to get to Ganymede using those rockets. So that's all right. On one hand, we had some pretty I guess I'll say fortunate situations there. We didn't have any missions that required Mercury. That's a pretty difficult place to get to. We didn't have to worry about Venus at all because that was spacecraft destroyed, so we didn't have to worry about those missions. Solar radiation was great. I didn't have to worry at all about sending astronauts out to Mars with radiation hazard. And Mars itself did not have radiation, which is a possibility. So I didn't have to worry about a lot of that. But on the other hand, suborbital space was awful with the 1 to 3. Jupiter and Saturn were both very dangerous as well, so that prevented a lot of activity out there. But on the flip side of that, we also didn't have to pull any missions at Jupiter or Saturn that required manned travel. Like we didn't have any missions that required astronauts to land anywhere or have like Jupiter flyby with astronauts. We didn't have to worry about any of that. And I also didn't have to flip over Titan or Enceladus as part of any of the missions. So that ended up being extra missions that did not need to be flipped over for exploring Titan and Enceladus. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how this game went. I'm a little disappointed I wasn't able to complete all of the Jupiter missions like I had hoped to, but at the end, it was a win at 201 to 43. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I always like coming back to this game. I think this is probably my favorite board game. I just love the idea of it. It's just so cool. I think it's well done. I love the missions, the mission cards. I think it's neat. Every game is different. Even though you're going to the same places, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, what you have to do there is always going to be a little different based on the set of missions that gets pulled. So it's always a little bit of a different mission that you're putting together, and even changing the mass of what you need to bring out there by 1 or 2 to any of those locations just totally changes what it is you need to bring out there and how you get it out there. So it's always exciting. It's always a little different every time you play. So yeah. So having said that, that's the end. Thanks again for watching, and I'm looking forward to the next one.